It's time for a look back at our top stories of the week. Watching a TikTok video changed the life of a Louisiana mother forever. Meg Ferris brings us her touching story as that mother, who is also a nurse, searches for a medical cure that began on TikTok.
2 years ago on Valentine's Day, Kirk and Morgan Rochelle of Natchitoches found out they were going to have another little girl. As baby Lydia grew with big sister Heidi, they noticed thick eyebrows like her dad's family. But she also had frequent ear infections and digestive issues, all thought to be common childhood conditions. Then this past March, Morgan's mom sent her a TikTok video of a similar-looking girl in Wisconsin.
So when I came across the TikTok and saw Olivia, which looked just like Lydia's twin, it just hit me.
Olivia has Sanfilippo syndrome. Morgan showed it to Lydia's pediatrician.
He sat down and said he's never been asked this before, that it was very, very, very rare. He's never seen anyone with it. He didn't even know how to test for it.
Tests were ordered. 2 weeks later, Morgan got the results.
I opened it up and just saw abnormal results, and I clicked it. And that was the worst feeling of my whole life.
Sanfilippo syndrome is an inherited metabolism disorder. A mutation in one gene prevents the breakdown of some sugars, leading to serious brain and nervous system problems. There's no treatment, cure, and it's terminal. After a couple of weeks in total despair, Morgan found several connections to Lydia's name and life in the Bible, and now believes she was born to create worldwide awareness to find a cure for all children.
So, and it just like lit a fire in me that I have to fight for her and do something.
Morgan made TikTok videos and started getting international magazines to do stories on the condition. She's pushing for more scientific research and clinical trials.
Last night, I was up till midnight writing a letter because I'm about to send it to all the millionaires that, I looked up, for funding.
Morgan's now in touch with Olivia's family and the Cure Filippo Foundation. She's hoping if a clinical trial opens in Japan, Lydia will qualify.
A lot of doctors aren't able to even know to test for it. So a lot of moms, their children get diagnosed with like autism. I want the awareness. I want people to see her face. I want them to know her story. And I'm hoping it'll reach the right person one day.
Mama. And she won't give up until it does. Meg Ferris, WWL, Louisiana.
New Orleans City Park and the Saints are giving Pan American Stadium a much-needed facelift. When the work is completed, the facility will have a new playing surface and an upgraded scoreboard.
If you've driven down Wisner Boulevard lately through New Orleans City Park, you've probably noticed a lot of work underway at Pan American Stadium. The park and New Orleans Saints are making needed improvements to the facility where hundreds of student and adult athletes compete each year. The park's athletic director, Aubrey Champion, says crews are now working on phase one of a $3.1 million facelift at Pan Am.
It's the turf, scoreboard, the goalposts, and we're also adding a new sound system.
Crews have already taken up the old turf and started installing the new synthetic playing surface used by the Saints last year in the Caesars Superdome. Saints and Pelicans owner Gail Benson says it's important for her organization to support youth sports.
We try to help everyone in the community, and we had the opportunity to do this, and we were so happy that they asked us and that we were able to help them.
These high school athletes are getting a chance to play on the same turf the NFL players have played on. I think Patrick Mahomes played on it last year, so it's awesome.
Mrs. Benson says she can't wait to see the project when it's completed.
Every time I see something that we've supported in the community, it just humbles me so much because I know we're making such an impact on this community.
City Park officials say the new and improved Pan American will be put to good use.
We have easily 30 groups. We have the New Orleans Jesters, a minor league soccer team. We had a Quidditch match out here a few weeks ago. And then just a lot of adult and youth leagues that come out here every night and play soccer, play kickball, play flag football.
The new playing surface at Pan American is expected to be installed in time for high school football in September. Phase 2, upgrading and replacing lighting, is expected to begin after football season. Phase 3, which includes renovating bathrooms, locker rooms, and the press box, has yet to be scheduled. Paul Murphy, WWL, Louisiana.
It was a somber moment as the community gathered to remember Ezekiel Harry. It's been 2 years since the Houma toddler was killed. His mother and her boyfriend are accused of the crime. Amelia Strahan spoke with family and friends at a vigil held in his honor.
2 years after his death, friends and family are still grieving the loss of young Ezekiel Harry.
It's still kind of hard and still unbelievable that this happened.
They say time heals all wounds.
We really miss him.
But that's not the case for those who knew 2-year-old Ezekiel Harry.
He was very playful. He liked to go to everybody and hug them. And I liked being around him. I loved my baby.
On Thursday, loved ones held a vigil. His grandmother, Cynthia Harry, described how different life would look if Ezekiel were still here.
At my house, running around, trying to take my dishes out my cabinet, playing with my keys, knocking on my door, and run, call my name, or he come get in my bed with me.
In July 2022, Harry was found in a trash can. Investigators say he died from blunt force trauma to the head, allegedly at the hands of his own mother, Maya Jones, and her boyfriend, Jermaine Robinson.
Today is his mom's birthday, the day that he actually got killed.
Both are expected to appear in court later this month for a motions hearing.
It's been a tough situation for 2 years since I've been coming around.
But that hearing is 2 years too late, according to family friend Michael Willis.
That's hard on the family, just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting to see if justice will be served.
For Harry's loved ones, the vigil was a step towards moving on, but his loss left a wound that time can't heal.
It's going to be a hard process of healing when you have to relive it now.
In Thibodaux, Amelia Strahan, WWL, Louisiana.
For a year, a family has been grieving the loss of a young man who took his own life in New Orleans. Even more tragic, WWL Louisiana investigator David Hammer discovered that multiple city agencies failed him and missed chance after chance to save him.
We're here in the Bywater, just around midnight.
He came with a typewriter, an old typewriter, and he was typing fresh, hot poetry, you know, for sale. You know, that was his gig on the street.
Hello, my name is Dante, and we're here speaking of and contemplating kindness.
I saw him a handful of times, you know, and much to my dismay. You know, I missed him, but I had to respect his wishes that he wanted to have that kind of free movement.
In late June 2023, Dante wandered right back to where his search for himself began, New Orleans. It would be the last troubled days of his life. On June 23rd, 2023, Dante came here to City Park.
There was a call initially that he was acting erratically. He somehow commandeered the train in City Park and took a joyride, for lack of a better term.
City Park police arrested Dante. He spent 2 days in central lockup. On June 24th, a nurse saw Dante and wrote he'd tried to escape. She marked it urgent for him to get a mental evaluation.
But he didn't get that, did he?
He did not get that. And that is stunning when you stop and think about that you have a mental professional who is the nurse saying it's urgent that somebody looks at this guy, and you have a non-medical person saying, well, he's going to be out of here soon anyway, not our problem.
The next day, June 25th, Dante wandered right back to City Park, this time to Café du Monde, this time completely naked. And again, the City Park police arrested him.
Instead of saying, look, you know, we're going to take you to get some professional help, They bring him right back to OPP and it starts all over again.
The records show Dante told a municipal court judge, quote, "Voices are telling me to kill myself, and voices are telling me to calm down."
This is so striking to the judge that the judge sends him back to OPP and recommends that he be put on suicide watch based on those statements alone.
He was diagnosed with unspecified psychosis and prescribed the powerful antipsychotic Zyprexa. A psychiatrist ordered him to stay on suicide watch, wearing a suicide prevention smock. The doctor also wrote that if Dante is released, he should be taken directly to the ER at University Medical Center. Instead, on June 30th, sheriff's deputies simply released him to again wander aimlessly.
You see him? Yeah, he's right up there.
Hours later, Dante was on the entrance ramp to I-10 East at Claiborne and St. Philip, threatening to jump.
Is he talking?
He talking. When he say to get close, he gonna jump.
Senior NOPD officer Sharif Davis took over the negotiations.
My man, can you talk to me? Can you talk to me? Sharif.
The officers never knew Dante had just been on suicide watch because they never even got his name.
What you want me to call you? 11?
See, now I feel a bit in a circle.
Well, we gotta have, no. We gotta have, you're not under arrest. You're free to leave. Walk over there, I'll buy you a drink. You want that drink? You want to call somebody? What you want to do?
I'd like to be left alone.
Just not up here, though.
Not up here. Yeah. So I have your word that I will not be arrested upon getting off of this.
Well, yeah.
NOPD Operations Manual Chapter 41.25 clearly calls for protective custody and involuntary transport to hospital for anyone who's in imminent risk of serious harm to self.
Yeah. Just cross the street safely.
He got up on the bridge clearly trying to kill himself. At that moment, he is dangerous to self, and he's gravely disabled, making bad decisions for himself, which does meet legal criteria for him to be taken to a hospital, and I don't know why they wouldn't.
Janet Hayes is an advocate for the mentally ill who works for New Orleans Special Mental Health Court. She says Dante's case is emblematic of a larger problem of poor coordination within the city's crisis intervention system.
These people are falling through the cracks in New Orleans. I work in other parishes as well. They have systems in place that follow laws. We don't do that here. We skirt laws.
A few hours later, Dante's cell phone data shows he arrived at the Falstaff Apartments in Mid-City. He accessed the highest roof, and at around midnight, June 30th, he did jump to his death.
And one of the officers made a comment, to the effect of, "Oh, this is the guy from the bridge last night."
NOPD's Public Integrity Bureau investigated Officer Davis, Lieutenant Salvatore Corona, and Officer Ricardo Rumbo for neglect of duty. The PIB complaint says they were dispatched to investigate an attempted suicide and did not transport the victim to a medical facility. In October, PIB cleared the officers of any wrongdoing.
Had they held him for 72 hours, as they were supposed to, maybe gotten him some services, and we might have spared his life.
Rita is now suing City Park, the NOPD, and the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, alleging their repeated indifference and failure to follow procedures caused Dante's death.
None of it ever should have happened. There were so many people, David, along the way that could have said, this poor kid needs help.
The lawsuit alleges the negligence continued even after Dante died. Dante had all these bank cards and his jail release form on him when he died, showing his name and address. But because he did not have a photo ID, the coroner listed him as unknown. It then took 18 days to check his fingerprints. Coroner Dwight McKenna blames the police.
Every time you involve another agency, things get slowed down because you don't know how fast, if it's the fire department, if it's the police department who's responsible for fingerprinting, We don't fingerprint at the coroner's office.
Rita alleges McKenna's office kept Dante's remains in a cooler that wasn't working, and his body decomposed beyond recognition.
All bodies decompose in the coolers. The coolers are not meant to keep bodies eternally. Typically, we'd like them to be moved out within 30 days if people come in and identify them.
I thank the Lord too.
He was disregarded in the most important days of his life, and then he was disregarded beyond his death.
What happened was just unacceptable. It's an embarrassment.
It's just so unbelievably immoral and incredibly ridiculous and disgusting. I was disgusted.
Nothing was right, and nothing was wrong.
Lawyers are frustrated after an alleged pedophile priest won't face a jury for at least another month. Retired Catholic priest Lawrence Hecker sat in court in a wheelchair while doctors announced he needs to be evaluated for dementia. This isn't the first delay lawyers think was unnecessary. Alyssa Curtis explains.
It was a sexual revolution.
Despite confessing to WWL Louisiana cameras last year, doctors have deemed retired priest Lawrence Hecker may have dementia, so he can't stand trial just yet.
Lawrence Hecker was able to answer reporters' questions. If he can do it with investigative journalists and he can do it with civil lawyers, he certainly can do it up here.
Hecker was arrested last September for charges that include aggravated rape, aggravated kidnapping, aggravated crime against nature, and theft. Since then, his health has been in question. Wednesday, doctors were supposed to announce whether or not Hecker was competent to stand trial. After he was wheeled into court in an orange jumpsuit, hospital socks, and a heart rate monitor on his finger, doctors said he's showing signs of dementia. They say specifically short-term memory loss and issues with focus. Doctors said in court Hecker needs a full dementia workup before a trial is set. But Richard Trahant, a lawyer for the alleged victim, thinks this is just a ploy to push the trial.
This guy should have been in jail in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s and 2010s. Do I know this? Yeah. Yeah, everybody. I have the documents. I've read the documents. And I wish the entire public, particularly the Catholic faithful, could see these documents to know what their shepherd and the hierarchy of this organization has done to promote and protect child rapists.
DA Jason Williams is frustrated as his office says medical records show Hecker's health improved over treatment and didn't show a need for dementia testing. Williams says it's time for Hecker to be held accountable.
He's a 90-year-old man. He's going to forget some things, but that does not absolve him of having his day in court.
Before it's too late. At Criminal District Court, Alyssa Curtis, WWL Louisiana.
Governor Jeff Landry is reacting after it was revealed one of the suspects accused of killing a French Quarter tour guide is an undocumented immigrant. The 19-year-old is facing a second-degree murder charge. As the story continues to unfold, though, more and more leaders are calling for accountability in the justice system.
Monday, a family privately said goodbye to their loved one. 43-year-old Chrissy Thibodeau was a French Quarter tour guide and was sitting in her car when she was fatally shot. 3 teens were arrested, and now we're learning more about them. According to the Office of Immigration, the 19-year-old involved, Joshua Bonifacio, is an undocumented immigrant from Honduras. In a statement to WWL Louisiana, ICE says Border Patrol encountered Bonifacio on May 11, 2019, near Hidalgo, Texas, and, quote, determined him to be inadmissible into the U.S. According to information we obtained, between then and now, he's been arrested at least 3 times. After learning this information, Governor Jeff Landry tweeted, quote, this man should have never been in Louisiana. Enough is enough. We must close our borders and keep our communities safe. The case has sparked calls for a change to the ankle monitoring system after it was revealed that the 15-year-old who allegedly pulled the trigger was supposed to be monitored through supervised release. State Representative Tim Kerner recently passed legislation that holds ankle monitoring companies more accountable. It goes into effect in January, as he says there's a dire need for better communication.
Got people that's offenders that's being put on ankle bracelets, and then no accountability. I don't want to say it's no accountability anywhere, but in a lot of cases there's no accountability. So I just thought that was crazy and dangerous to the public.
We're working to get more information on how the juvenile ankle monitoring system works and who is supposed to be monitoring it. We've reached out to DA Jason Williams' office, Attorney General Liz Murrow's office, Juvenile Court, and the Mayor's office. They've all referred us to the Office of Juvenile Justice, which hasn't responded to our emails. Alyssa Curtis, WWL Louisiana.
We've reported on house fires that broke out at abandoned houses in New Orleans over this past week. Well, it happened again at a house on the West Bank. According to Jefferson Parish, there were no signs of anyone living in the house in Harvey when it caught on fire. A neighbor says the fire did cause damage to her house, though, and she's calling on the parish to do something. Here's Eleanor Tabone with more.
The remnants of what was once a house stands on Max Drive in Harvey. According to the Marrero Estelle Fire Department, the fire started around 3 a.m. Monday. The department reports no one was home and the house had no power, gas or water connected.
The house has just been in terrible shape for years.
A neighbor who asked we protect her identity says the house became such an eyesore she moved. So now she rents out that house, and that house sits next door.
They're elderly tenants that I have, and they deserve a right, just like anyone else, to feel comfortable where they're living at.
She says the fire caused the siding on her house to buckle.
According to code enforcement data, this house on Max Drive has been getting violations since 2012, from junk vehicles to weeds. Most recently, code enforcement issued a violation deeming this house a dangerous building.
All these, violations, okay, why hasn't something been done about it?
Jefferson Parish Code Compliance and Enforcement says they've been cutting the grass for about a year. Most recently on June 19th. JPCCE said in March we received a complaint of vagrants occupying the property without water. It was inspected 3 times in March and again on April 8th, when it was noted still no signs of anybody occupying the building. Those living around the now fire-ravaged home say they just want property owners to be held accountable.
When is something going to be done about it? This has been like an ongoing problem for years.
Eleanor Tabone, WWL, Louisiana.